Hello again there, YouTube fans. This is the Real Creepy Doll Man here. I'm back with an all-new episode, but this is not a normal episode. This is a double episode. So that means the Real Creepy Doll Man is going to work twice as hard for our YouTube fans and all you die-hard Real Creepy Doll Man fans from around the world. It is March the 19th of 2019. Time is now 4:21 a.m. Okay. I decided to come back for a reason, and I'm going to explain something I explained in the last video, number 274. Now, this doll is indeed 100% one of Jerry Lotz's personal doll collection. Now, he's the guy that owns Jerry's Junk. Now, you don't know who Jerry's Junk is, you got to check out American Pickers. Now, if you ain't seen American Pickers, it's been on TV before. It is owned by Bob Barker. The guy from The Price is Right owns the show. And he told me he was a total, well, I ain't going to say it here on the ordeal, but in Jerry Lotz terms, he said he was a total whatever. I'm not going to say what he said, really bad for this ordeal for the kiddies. In his words, he didn't like what he had to do. And Jerry had to sell one of his bikes that he had. It was a Donald Duck bike. And he had to sell it on about probably less than $1,000. Because if I remember right, Jerry Lotz said he wanted $2,000 for the bike and didn't get it for that. He got only measly $1,000, and that was all he got for the bike. And he's really disappointed that American Pickers screwed him over on that ordeal. But let me bring you a fact. This was personally owned by Jerry Lotz himself. He collects all kinds of antiques, from antique dolls to antique lamps, to mannequins, you name it. He collects certain cars, certain statues, displays. He's even got a caboose in his backyard, as well as an old England, looks like a telephone booth. Inside the telephone booth, he's got an E.T. in there. He put it in there for a joke, to show him that he's going to phone home. It's kind of cute, though. But yeah, I knew Jerry Lotz. How did the Real Creepy Doll Man ties in with Jerry Lotz in the timeline? Well, let's go back then. He was dating my aunt back when I was younger, and I didn't know him too well. This is before my aunt drank herself to death and got psoriasis of the liver, as well as she used to drink and smoke, and I think what did her in was how she had her psoriasis of the liver for all them years. She developed liver cancer, and down the road, she did die from it. But you gotta understand this. He was dating her for a very short time, Jerry Lotz was. Back then, my aunt was named My aunt was named as Mary Ann Shackles, and then she married to this one man, and then she became Mary Ann Miller. Well, Mr. Miller and her had some problems at the time. I guess her drinking might have caused the man that she was married to all them years to walk away from her. In doing so, that, it got to be personal. Now, Mr. Lotz did date her for a very short time, but I think her drinking drove him away as well. But I think in terms, a few years down the road after she died in her either early 40s or late 40s. Only when I was young, when I knew her. It's sad to say she died after my father died. And it got to be, very bad to lose someone so young. My dad was probably younger than she was. He was 38, and she was probably about 40, 45, or near probably late 40s before she died. Down the road, I got to meet Mr. Lotz, and, I introduced myself to him, and I got to see the stuff that he had in the yard before I got to talk to him. I saw him outside one day, and I sat down and talked to the man. I said, "You got some cool stuff there." Said you couldn't own this stuff if you wanted to, and you couldn't get the stuff if you had to. You gotta have that kind of money, he said. And I said, I didn't understand at first what he said. But later down the road, I think I know what he meant. He put and tied all his money up over the years he worked for this one company. He worked for Ziploc Company for several years. And he put in for disability and got it. And he got to draw off his pension for retirement with his disability, I believe, or his funds for his retirement funds. And he got the commission and royalties for doing the Ziploc Company a favor. I think him and another guy designed the bag for the prototypes for the Ziploc bags. And he got paid royalties, I think is what he told me. And down the road, I asked him a very important question. He said, I kind of know you from somewhere. I asked him, did you know my aunt, Mary Ann Miller? And he said, yes. And he said, I dated your aunt. And I didn't know that. That was a big shocker, that he dated my aunt for a short time before she died. And then another thing he stated, he said if he could have turned back time, he wished he could go back and stop her from drinking and try to, save her from, drinking herself to death. Because he knew that she was killing herself by drinking, badly. And she was a heavy drinker at times. And it's sad to say that her drinking took her body, and it told her body about it. She had developed psoriasis, meaning liver cancer over time, and it killed her. Down the road after she died, I think Mr. Lotz regret that he couldn't do what he could to save her, because I think in terms she didn't want to save herself because she didn't want to change her ways. A lot of people today don't change their ways when it comes to drinking and drugs. All we can do is pray for them. That's about all we can do. But later down the road, I got to talk to Mr. Lotz more. We kind of socialized in a way. I don't know if it was friendly bond or not, or a friendship, or whatever you may call it. But down the road, I sold him a few of my items. And I talked to him many times, communicate with him, and socialize with him several times. I also talked to him about my health as well as his. And I see his health is just as worse as mine. The man's got cancer, and he's got either dementia or Alzheimer's, compared to what I got, which is actually Crohn's disease, what it is fully blown up to now. And I told him several times I've been bleeding from my Crohn's disease. And I have told him in the past, if he would have saw me today, and I would have told him about a couple months ago that I was personally bleeding badly, he wouldn't believe it. But I hadn't talked to the man since, because since I've been sick so badly, I hadn't stopped from doing my videos, and I ain't going to stop just because I'm sick. And I'm not going to let that get me down, despite my health. I'm here to stay. Now, later down the road, I have talked to his daughter. They are going to try to move him into another house that he owns, that he can get up and down. But the old one that he lives in right now, that has a deep or steep steps, he will not be going up in that one very much longer. I think for what she's going to do is move him into the other place. She's selling all the stuff out that he owns in that one little house, and she's trying to make room for him there. And she's going to put him in that house. I'm not going to say where it's located at, to protect the family safety. And now, that's about all I can tell you. But, I will be probably seeing him pretty soon, Mr. Jerry Lotz. And I'll probably try to keep in contact with him, see how he's doing from time to time. And if you like this episode, please check out more from the Real Creepy Doll Man, because there'll be new episodes to come. And this is the Real Creepy Doll Man saying goodbye, and God bless you all.